それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズだ。逃げろ。誰でも音できる。誰でもスキルを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。超集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれ海嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。イカスミをたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。レバヤさんニュース。
What's up, everyone? DAdvisoor here, Leviathan News. I'm here with a special guest for today. This is a Wednesday, March 25th. Spring is here, everyone. It's actually rainy here, but the official spring season has begun. And I'm very happy to be here with someone I've actually met in person a few months ago back in Brazil. It was absolutely incredible. Alex Netto, from founder and CEO of Blockful. How are you, man? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, of course. By the way, amazing intro and video. I was excited hearing the music.
Thank you so much. We've been getting so many compliments about it. It was made by a contributor named Arcus, Arqus. I'll show you the account later. And man, ever since I've gotten him to do this intro for us as a we have this model in Leviathan News where we, we're not really a company or whatever. We're just a DAO of people trying to share news and do content around them. And basically the rewards are like contributions from our own token, SQUID, that is being emitted each month. And I saw that Arcus has been doing some great stuff for projects within the Curve ecosystem, mostly like Regnumorum, RAAC, which is an RWA project. And now he's actually working a lot with Convex and Resupply. He's been doing amazing for them. And I approached him and I was like, man, how can I get you to do like this kind of stuff? We don't even have anything to pay you with, but we add it as a contribution. And he agreed to do it. And really, I think that he's done a phenomenal job and people are giving us so many compliments about it. So shout out Arcus as well.
Yeah.
So before we started, then because I know you have a busy schedule over there, and I want you to get an opportunity to tell us about Blockful. Let me just present the SQUID Pass holders of this week, who are. Let me just pop it up on the screen. Just a second. Oku Trade. Let's check it out. Right, Oku Trade, 30 plus chains, 20 plus aggregators, Oku Everywhere. You can check them out at gooku.trade.swap. I actually have that one open here as well. You can swap, borrow, lend, bridge, even on and off ramp, basically whatever you want to do over there. Really appreciate the support, guys, and much respect for winning the auction. We have these auctions every week, Netto, that so people can just bid for the SQUID Pass, and then they get our pinned posts on Leviathan News on the Telegram and on our X account for the week. And also you can get, that's the pinned post, I'll show it to you. And they also get shout outs on our streams. So much respect.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to join. I'll show you how later. Professional grade trading with zero fees. now 10x faster after our latest upgrade. If you're still settling, sorry, for less, it's time to level up with Oku Trade. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for supporting Leviathan News.
Yeah, cool. I know Oku Trade and I know the founders. They are also well known in the Uniswap ecosystem. So they maintain the interfaces for and some deployments from chains that the main Uniswap interface doesn't support. So they help you, like Uniswap, have more reach in some chains. It's pretty good project.
Much respect. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. And yeah, they're actually great guys. I haven't talked to them that much, but the guys that I have talked to there seem kind of cool. And yeah, shout out to them. Netto, tell us a bit about yourself and about blockful. But first of all, maybe give us like a short intro. Who are you and how did you end up being founder and CEO of blockful?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can probably tell the story since I was like a teenager when I was exploring a lot of like programming and I really enjoyed mathematics, and I actually got a lot of medals on
Wow, seriously?
mathematics. Yeah, but more like here in Brazil, but even like a lot of interest, and I was always doing like the tests, and in one of these tests I actually got some like medals, so that was pretty cool. Then I got when I was 14, I started programming, and
Wow.
yeah, so when that happened, like when I needed to choose what university course I will do, it was such an easy choice for me. Like I didn't even think it was like computer science, and I started working really early, like doing my first internship within like the first or second semester. And so I started working at some startups, and then I migrated to like the financial, some like fintechs and financial infrastructure companies here in Brazil. And throughout that, I got that's kind of like the usual story, right? Like people first get interested in Bitcoin or like in more in the investment side of things, and then me as a developer, I got interested after the investment. I got interested in understanding what I was investing into, and I got to learn about Bitcoin and then Ethereum, and then I was just like wondered about the possibilities of this technology and changing the society, and then I just got into the rabbit hole and never came back. So I got so about it to a point where the guys here, that's part of our team here. Um, so I got so excited about it that I just couldn't stop thinking, and like, yeah, I need to really dedicate my energy and life to building something here. So how blockful started, I dropped out from university. I quit my job when I was like in the top of my career as a developer, and quit both to focus 100% in building blockful, which at the time was more like a dev shop because we didn't had any product in mind to build, but I generally wanted to be in the space building. So the first was a dev shop, until we eventually find ourselves building some products because we were excited about some ideas, and then one of the big pains we identified along this path, this way, was economic security and the lack of tools and prevention for governance attacks. So that's how we got into anti-capture. Anti-capture today is the main product from Blockful. So Blockful is like the mother company, and anti-capture is the main product where most of the team is working on. And that's the TLDR of the history.
Okay, so basically, Blockful was created by you in order to work in the space, even before you actually knew what it would actually become, like a hub for devs.
Correct. Yeah, I wanted to get experience, networking, and capital. And my first step was building a dev shop, right? Because then I could build and help other people and projects to build their ideas. And meanwhile, going to conferences, understanding what are the actual problems to be solved on the space. So yeah, my first step was providing services to have more a better understanding of what to build.
And is it still this kind of a dev shop, or is it today like something with a different? Because when I actually explored the website that you guys have, Blockful, I didn't see that it's actually a dev shop. Maybe I just missed it.
Yeah, no, today we are not a dev shop anymore, but we are open. Today we are actually turning more into like a product studio. And what I mean by that is we are about to create another product as well that we'll start investing in allocating some resources and hiring some developers. And also for good projects. So previously there was like a prediction market that was wanting to open here in Brazil, for example. And we, for good projects in which we believe and we would love to build it, we will also like partner with them to build it together, but not as a dev shop, more as like a product studio, so like co-building. It's like a joint venture, and we are in the middle of this transition from being a company that only has one product to be a company that has multiple products, one of them being focused on security.
Cool. So what should we start with? Should it be anti-capture, or what do you want to tell us with? Like, what should people know, first of all, today, if they hear about Blockful for the first time?
Yeah, of course. So they need to know really about what we have done in the ecosystem and how will we impact even more the ecosystem. So I can bring some examples here. Let me get it from our website here. So we have some really good resources in our blog, which is where the research team posts all the things. And yeah, what I want really people to know is that there is still a big vector in the ecosystem, which is not being well addressed if it's not by Blockful, like anti-capture, and we need the ecosystem to cooperate together to like solve this problem. So governance attacks are actually a larger problem than we realized, because more than $400 million were already stolen by governance attacks, and more than 30 incidents. So, for example, if I ask you to mention governance attacks, what governance attacks do you remember? What comes in mind, if any?
To be honest, for me personally, I think the one I remember most, when you call it governance attack, I think it's the one with Mochi, I think they were called, when they attacked Kerv years ago. You remember what I'm talking about? That's like, for me, like the signature governance attack. Because recently I'm much more learning about these things as like hacks and exploits, just like the recent one that we had this week with Resolve. But I wouldn't say that
Mhm.
that's a governance attack, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's not a governance attack. Do you remember Beanstalk?
I remember something about it.
Beanstalk? Yeah, so for example, Beanstalk was the largest governance attack. It was $180 million of losses because of that governance attack. And it was because of their governor implementation and manipulation with flash loans and votes. So they acquired enough governance tokens using flash loans and then created a proposal and voted in the proposal itself. And
How
passed it.
quickly was it all done?
A couple of days actually, because you needed to like make the proposal and then have like some period for the proposal to be able to be voted on.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the exact details now, but as far as I remember, it was like a couple of days to execute it. And yeah, that was like the largest one. But as you have seen, and like most of people think the same way, we remember the smart contract exploits or like other type of exploits that yes, they are more relevant because their size, the volume, right, the total amount that was already hacked, it's much larger. But there is this niche of security which also happens and have some like really relevant risks that nobody is paying attention, and people usually don't even remember it exists, which is economic and governance attacks. So anti-capture, and I will share the screen here. Okay, so anti-capture is basically like a L2B, but for governance attacks. So for governance security. So here we have different
Where can
projects.
people like? What's the website there? Where can people find it?
Anticapture.com.
Anti-capture.com.
Anticapture.com.
Cool.
Yeah. So here we have developed a framework that was based on studying more than 30 governance attacks and understanding how could we prevent these governance attacks from happening. Like what if we had guidelines to follow, what parameters and what could we do to increase the resistance of the governance of the economic scenario to prevent these attacks from happening. So that's how we came up with the stages and the framework. So it's kind of similar to the L2Beat idea, really. And then we have a lot of like the challenging part here is also the data, because like half of it is the research, the framework, and half of it is getting really good data to understand what's actually the cost of attack, what's the attack profitability, what are the active tokens, and like how active is the governance and how can it be exploited. So there are really a lot of moving parts, really, and it's like a complex system. As you can see, you have like a lot of different metrics and things to see. And using anti-capture, we have already prevented 2 governance attacks. So the first
Really?
governance attack, yeah.
That's actually going to be great. Like, describe to us, like, how does something, how by creating anti-capture, you guys have prevented these attacks. Very interesting.
Yes, it is. It is a rabbit hole. Once you realize it, and you go through our blog as well, you realize it's like a really interesting rabbit hole. So on ENS, for example, we can see the attack profitability section. So in red, you have the cost of attacking the DAO. And why is it the cost of attacking the DAO? It's because first you want to know how many tokens are delegated. So how many tokens can possibly vote in a proposal? And you multiply this amount of this amount of tokens right here. So this is the delegated supply. Currently, we have 3.8 million ENS tokens that are delegated and can participate on a vote. And then you multiply this to the price of the token, which is currently 6. So what we currently have as delegated supply is $23 million. But the liquid treasury, and by liquid, what I mean is all the treasury that is not in the governance token of the DAO. So here it's Ethereum, Ether, stable coins, and DeFi positions. It's $101 million. So this becomes a economic arbitrage where you buy enough tokens.
But this is not in ENS tokens, yes? This is like in other assets.
Exactly. That's an Ether, that's an USDC. It's not counting with governance tokens here in the treasury. So ENS
you basically
has
described that this is actually showing the incentive to exploit, to governance attack the DAO, because the DAO has like more assets in its treasury than the amount that it takes to take over its governance.
Exactly. And what people don't realize is that you don't need actually like 51% of the token to do a governance attack. You actually need to beat what's being used on governance, because it's like a much lower percentage of the circulating supply of the token is actually being used in governance. We can see one example here. So let's see here, delegator. So here we have, here in purple, we have the circulating supply, and in blue, we have the delegated supply. So see, it's like 10x, like you have like only 10% of the circulating supply of all the tokens that are in the market. Only 10% is actually participating on governance. And then within these 10% here, which is 3.8, only half of the tokens are actually participating in governance. So it's even lower. And to pass a proposal, you don't need like 51% of all the tokens that are in the market. You just need to like 51% of all the tokens that participate in governance. So that's why it's
even if like 10% is what's actually locked and participating, and only 5% are actually voting, basically it's maybe with over 2.5% of the token supply, you can take over the DAO.
Exactly. And still, if you want to guarantee, you can buy the whole delegated supply and then make a proposal to capture the DAO, like make a proposal to transfer all the treasury to the proposer, for example.
Explain to me though something, Alex, which maybe I don't understand. Like, how can you buy delegated tokens? What is that? Aren't delegated tokens outside of the market?
Not in a lot of DAOs, no. So what you will do here is just like keep buying tokens in the market for like a long period, like 1-2 months, buying every day, and then you delegate these tokens to an address. So it's like you buy the tokens from the market and delegate. That's it.
Because this actually brings up another point that I saw that you guys do at Blockful, discussing mechanism design. Because with many projects, you do have to, for example, have the tokens locked in order to participate in governance, and often this, for example, with vote in escrow, the token, this governance power decays as long as they're not really locked for time. Or, by the way, I'm a part of the Frankencoin team, the Swiss franc stablecoin project. Tether. And Lucius, the founder there, shout out to him, he actually designed a very unique governance system with FPS, the governance, the Frankencoin shares, the Frankencoin pool shares, I should say, which as an address holds it for a longer duration, it actually gains more governance power as well. So this actually also is a design in order to prevent these kinds of attacks when I think about it like you're describing here.
Yeah, it's really important to have a lot of thought and research on the mechanism design, because this is really like, it can bring you a lot of pain and risks if you do it without enough research and thought. So that's for sure.
Do you guys have like a ranking of what you do? Like, for example, what's the are there impossible DAOs to take over? Like, is there like a metric of that? Is there like a rank of what's the hardest DAO to take over and what's the easiest DAO to take over or whatever?
Well, theoretically, if you look at the stages, like stage 0 will be a DAO that is not so prepared to resist for a governance attack. And you also have like the cost of attack here. So you can order by the lowest cost of attack, for example.
So basically a hacker can, like, this can serve both sides, you know what I mean? Like, also projects can understand the whole situation. Also a hacker can go and say, okay, what's easiest to hack today?
But we only we only do it, we only publish it in the dashboard if the major concerns are already addressed. For example, you see that Compound is vulnerable, or like ENS is quite vulnerable, right? So what happens here is ENS has a security council, which we implemented. Like, we were the proposers of the security council, and that's how we prevented the governance attack on ENS.
Nice.
We created the security council, like we identified this arbitrage, right?
Wow.
And then we created the security council.
This is for ENS.
Yes.
So basically, if I'm trying to like give it like the macro outlook, you guys have like got very interested in this governance attack niche. You started exploring it and researching it. Found these DAOs, like for example there, that have these like vectors that they can be attacked. Then approach them with a proposal that actually made them more resilient.
Correct.
That's incredible, actually. And these are like the kind of services that you guys at blockful provide. Like, how do they work?
That works almost like a white hat hacker approach, and it's kind of hard because there is no bug bounties set for like governance attacks, because it seems kind of too theoretical, right? Like, yes, you buy enough tokens and you make a proposal to drain the DAO. Like, people kind of like we don't have bug bounties for that. So our work here is first making sure people are aware of how risky it is, and then second, being proactive on solving these problems, and then asking the DAO to issue like a bug bounty. So that's what ENS did. And then ENS also hired us to maintain the tools for security. So, for example, all this data and monitoring engine, the evolution of the product itself to be able to understand more data and preventions. Or also, one other thing we are doing in ENS is running an incentive campaign that will probably start in April, in which everybody that delegates ENS tokens to an active voter will get APY for governance tokens. So that's also pretty interesting.
Meaning by that actually incentivizing holders of ENS to delegate their voting power, increase the total voting power that's actually being active, and by that actually making it more resilient as well.
Correct. Perfect.
Which again touches actually on mechanism design and like
correct.
And like thinking of creative ways on how to actually structure the whole operation and system in order to be more resilient. That's actually very cool.
Yes, correct. So we are in this section of like research, governance, security, and trying to provide the best in class products, all based on the security research to make investors more secure, the teams, the foundations, the users. One other crazy example is Compound. So Compound is now secure because they have a security council set for 4 years. And so if anyone goes there and buy enough tokens and makes a malicious proposal, like if this proposal passes, it can be vetoed by the Security Council. So Compound is now secure as well. But Compound governance has access to user funds on Compound V2. So the possible arbitrage for Compound, if you think about, for example, North Korea, or like hackers with a lot of resources and whales, and there are like a plenty of those. If these actors realized this risk like 1 year ago, they could have made like malicious proposals to also withdraw user funds. So the arbitrage here is not only the treasury, but also protocols in which the governance has access to user funds.
Wow, that's insane, actually.
Yes, it is. So,
and this is another incident when you guys like actually noticed it, approached them, and and then the design was changed in order to prevent this situation.
Yeah, so we provided reports for the Compound ecosystem and the tools, but who mostly was in the operations was the foundation and the Compound working group. It was a bit tough kind of getting involved with them. But we provided the reports and all the tools for them to take the decisions and do the stuff, because they were kind of close the doors, so it was a bit hard to engage. But we did our part of the job, which is providing the data and the recommendations.
It's actually very cool, I must say. Like it's a very cool and unique niche. It's kind of a behind the scenes research, and then also knowing how to quietly enough approach a project in order to not raise you don't want to wake up the attacker before you wake up the entity that should defend itself.
Yes, exactly. So we need to be cautious.
How do you do that? Is it only like private messages? Like what's like a normal day over there? After you research and you find this like attack vector with a DAO, what do you do?
DMing the core team, the CEOs, the founder, the leads, like whoever is on the core team, and try to disclose to the right person or the right stakeholder within the core team. So that's usually the right move. And if not, then we try to ask the Ethereum Foundation for help if they have like some reach out to the protocols, or also, and that will be the last resort, but almost like a white hat attack, So we proposing the fix and showcasing the attack. and then
Okay,
make
yeah.
people
Actually, you can
people
actually
realize the
implement
risk.
the attack yourselves from a good intent in order to, like,
Yes,
as a last resort.
yes, yes,
If
yes.
you actually
Because
have a lot of capital, you can start really taking over for good reasons.
yeah, I mean there are some vulnerabilities that you can expose without too much capital, but yes, there are other that requires a lot of capital, and then we cannot do it because it's a lot of capital. Yeah.
Man, that's actually really cool. I know you need to wrap up in a few minutes. I would like to ask you, you actually approached me just after Tally announced that they're shutting down the operation. I don't even know exactly how to.
Uh-huh.
Tally was like this tool of managing DAOs or whatever. I don't know
Yes.
how to exactly describe it.
Uh-huh.
Where do you see like this landscape going? In a world where like many DAOs are like dissolving, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because it's not that easy to operate an actual DAO. Like it raises a lot
Yes.
of issues, and on many levels, it's much easier to just be a company. I
Hmm.
know that
Hmm.
we've experienced such a discussion on SQUID DAO, the
Yeah.
entity behind Leviathan News. And for us, we
Uh-huh.
do want to be a DAO, but like also we are being more and more aware of the challenges that it brings. Though. So, and
Hmm.
I actually also had a few, like a month or a month and a half ago, I had Lutz from Aragon, which also
Hmm.
talked about like this whole framework of governance and how you actually do stuff and build stuff and talk about the connection between a token to what it actually provides and how you do and how you give like a transparent view of what's to be done for all parties involved to know what they're about to do. Where do you see you guys within this landscape, and where do you see this whole side of the industry going? Are we going to see other entities like Tally in your mind
Hmm.
shutting down, or is it just
Uh-huh.
something they should have done differently? What's some of your thoughts of the whole?
Hmm. I think it's natural to see more DAO tooling or DAO related companies shutting down because the market is really tough currently. Mainly because DAOs were basically a regulatory scapegoat, right? So the projects were doing DAOs because the core teams didn't want to take the liability of the token and the protocol. So they will basically outsource this liability. Like the DAO is running the protocol, the DAO is in charge of the token, the foundation, and like not the core team, the labs. So now we're in a scenario where you have the president of the United States launching meme coin, like, and like the regulatory scene has changed so much. Like the projects seem to care less about building a DAO because, as you mentioned, for several reasons, is more costly, like coordination costs and the
Yeah.
decentralization costs to run the business, to build the product, to think about growth. So, but this is like a short-sighted vision as well, because in 5 years and 7 years, let's say, I don't know, in three maybe, the US administration can change and can go against, can be hostile crypto again. And then people will be like, oh, we need to think about liability and decentralization and censorship resistance again. Otherwise, it will be risky. So there's definitely like a bull case for DAOs again if regulation becomes tough. And the second thing I want to mention is there are a couple of DAOs that will never shut down simply because the core intent of the protocol it's to be decentralized. So they will not like shut down. ENS is one of these examples where I don't see in any scenario like the ENS DAO shutting down. Maybe we see some entity being funded to like streamline operations, but the DAO itself as an object where delegates go there and vote actively, and there's like a lot of activity, I think that will never cease to exist.
Yeah, I agree. Like it is a process, and just like more of like some organizations will prefer taking like the company route, and to them, a decentralized organization structure will bring more obstacles than solutions. But I actually think that even culturally and for like different missions that people will start realizing that they want to do with online organizations, it's actually going to provide, and it's just going to be like sharpened, and it's going to be more distinct of who actually needs to be a DAO and why. And also on the other angle, especially with tools like you are building, if you are a DAO, how to do it better. You know what I mean? Improve. Netto, anything else I should have asked you? I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have a lot of stuff to keep doing, like DAO building yourself for the day and some research, I'm sure. Anything else I should ask you that you wanted to mention and we didn't get to? Feel free. I enjoyed having this talk with you, to be honest, and already looking forward for the next.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll quickly share some 2 security initiatives we did these days. So last week, exactly 1 week ago,
you want to show it on the screen? Should I?
Oh yes, I'm sharing my screen. Perfect, thank you. So here, that was an announce that got some pretty cool visibility. About
this is on the blockful X account, yes?
Correct. And here it's an announcement of a governance attack we have prevented in ShutterDAO, which is like a super important and cool project in the ecosystem and the Ethereum ecosystem. It's focused on privacy, on NEV resistance. So it's a pretty cool project. And with basically $100K of SHU tokens, you could capture a treasury of $3 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And we also built like a security council there.
It's very cool, you know. You actually are saving people's money. So
exactly.
Respect to you guys. I must say, respect to you guys. It's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we are focused on security. We are in the end of the day a security firm focused on a vector that people don't even remember much. So here you can see in this post a lot of the interesting details that was widely shared across the ecosystem. So here, and then also today, there was yesterday actually, there was a governance attack on Moonwell, like a DeFi protocol.
I've heard that name. I don't know what it is, but I've heard that name in the past.
Yeah, Moonwell, it's a lending protocol on Base. It used to be in Moonbeam and Moonriver, which are other networks. And actually, they have deprecated governance. They are migrating governance, and their old governance contract on this network called Moonbeam was so vulnerable that with $1,800 of tokens, you could make a proposal to pass and drain $1 million from user funds. So
with $1,800,
correct.
With 1.8K, you could have taken $1 million.
Yes, correct. It's crazy.
You guys actually found it and did what?
So we found out that the governance attack was happening because we have like a monitoring system with risk engine, data engine, some agents also monitoring the data and doing research. So we have like a whole system, and the system basically flagged the proposal for our internal team, and then we analyze it and wait, that's actually an attack. So we reached out to the core team, and they were like, that was like 12 hours later, the proposal was active, and the core team actually knew about it. So, but by luck, it was like by luck they saw the governance interface and realized that there was another proposal. But imagine if it was on a event during a crypto conference, or if it was during holidays, during Christmas, So you are basically assuming that you will always be seeing the governance interface, and so this is a attack that is currently live, and I think the core team has all the resources to like prevent this attack, so it will not happen. But still, we are making our part here to serve the core team and make the ecosystem know that an attack is happening. So these are just things happening in the last week or so, and yeah, that's a bit of our work. We have prevented more than $150 million in governance attacks.
Wow.
So ENS DAO and Shutter DAO. And I'm sure there are more to come with agents evolving. Security is a concern, a bigger concern every day.
That's actually really, really cool. And I'm actually very happy that we talked last week and that you were already like able and willing to come on. I think this is actually very useful information and also very interesting, both for the viewers, but also for many builders within the space. Like, who, just before we wrap it up, like, who would you say should approach you like in advance, even if they like before they have like an issue? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because prevention is always the best way.
Oh,
so
yes.
who should approach you guys? Who would you say that should be interested in what you do and should be approaching and looking for your services?
Cool. Thanks for asking. Everyone that runs a protocol, everyone that is in a team, if somehow your protocol, the protocol you work on, or you contribute to, has a governance system, and most of them do have some governance system or token. If you have a token, you should reach out, because you can already discover a lot about the token movements, the governance risks. Tally is shutting down as well, and we do have a governance voting interface as well, but like focused on security, so it's even more secure than Tally, because you have all of these metrics focused on the framework. So yeah, if you have a token, if you have a protocol governance, you should definitely reach out to prevent these risks to happen before it's too late. Definitely.
Very nice and very cool. Where can people find you, Alex, again? Okay, it's on screen. Alex T. Netto on X, and blockful is, let me try and also pop it up on my screen here as well. Really appreciate you joining, by the way. Let me just share it on screen. This is Alex's profile. You can also follow Blockful at blockful_IO, risk analysis and mechanism design to secure governance. Also featuring the main product so far, anti-capture, which you can also find at anticapture.com. And basically the L2 bit for governance possible attacks or something like that. I don't know exactly how to describe it. And man, thank you so much for being here with us today. Let me just give another shout out before we wrap it up to this week's SQUID Pass winners, which are Oku Trade. Let me just pop it up here. Thank you guys so much for choosing Leviathan News and getting the SQUID Pass for the week, you can actually go and trade, borrow, swap, lend, bridge from over 30 chains through 20 plus aggregators. And like they say, Oku Everywhere. You can find them at oku.trade. And okay, let me send it off with the classic video by Arcus. Shout out Arcus that, we made it as a video. We started using it as an intro, and me personally, I'm also using it as an outro because I like it
Cool.
so much. So I'll just pop it up on screen again. And thank you so much for coming, sir. Really enjoyed talking to you, and looking forward for some updates. Hope to talk to you again pretty soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the invite. It was a pleasure. And see you in the next one.
Amen. Much respect for what you guys do. Actually, great work. And again, just thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Amen. Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズと逃げろ。誰でもトトできる。誰でもスキーを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実が